Hello, 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 everybody. It's your girl, Ashley, the Amateur Expert, and I'm coming to you live today for the Amateur Expert Live show. I'll be interviewing my cousin. I'm not sure if I should have said that, but she is my cousin, Jillian Williams, and I am excited for you guys to hear about her journey. If this is your first time watching, the concept of this show is to discuss people's career path, their idea of success, and the tips and motivators that they use along the way. So Jilly is in the room. We're going to get her added, and we'll get started. Hey, Nat. Hey, Pastor Wanda. Thank you for joining us.
Hey,
Hey, Jilly. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm
Trying to
good, thank you.
adjust my camera a little bit.
You're perfect. So if you can, please, darling, introduce yourself and tell the people who you are and what you do currently for work.
Okay, so I'm Jillian, like she said, and I'm an artist, full-time artist. See some of my beautiful work back there
Lovely,
behind
lovely
me.
work.
So yeah, I do like portrait art, I paint animals, pretty much anything that, I find inspiration in, I can pretty much paint it. So I'm a full-time artist up here. I just moved to Atlanta. Hey,
Hey,
I'm excited.
A-Town.
Excited to be to move to a big city. I'm from a small town, so
Where are
it's
you
a
from, Jilly?
I am from Boston, Georgia. Population probably like 2,000
Wow.
people. It's really small, but yeah, I've been wanting to like move to the city area just to kind of like really dive into the art world and everything. So yeah, I'm a full-time artist. I take commissions. I do portrait art, just pretty much any type of art. I can do it.
I love it. And so when you were a little girl, what did you want to be when what did you aspire to be when you grew up?
So I went through a couple different phases. I was always a pretty creative person, but at one point I thought I wanted to be a teacher,
Okay.
and but that's only because people was like, "You're so smart, you should be a teacher." So, but I got past that phase pretty quickly, and I started learning about the brain and stuff a little bit. And
Okay.
I was a creative too, so I was like, I think art therapy would be a
Mm.
nice career path. So that is something that I kind of focused on a little bit when I was a kid. Yeah.
I love it.
Hmm.
And so what was your idea of success at that time? What did you think being an art therapist um, what type of success did you think that would bring to you?
Um, So, okay, at that time, I guess I thought that success was more so like something that was given.
Mm,
Like I feel like I needed to go to school and that it was a very clear-cut path that I needed to take. And I
okay.
guess for me, success looked like just making money, making art. But like not necessarily making art, but like helping people through the process of therapy and getting a job pretty much. I think that was like that main idea of success, especially as a child. I was like, okay, getting a job as an art therapist, success.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how did you transition or like what was the journey of you um, having the dream of being an art therapist
Hmm.
to being a full-time artist?
Okay, so I went to, after I graduated high school, I went to college and I still kind of had that idea of like, I do want to do art therapy. So I majored in psychology at the time.
Okay.
And I got away from the art aspect as much. Like I still felt the pull towards art, but I was trying to, I guess, do something a little bit more traditional. I didn't really know. I don't feel like I had enough information of like what I really needed to do. And so I stayed in school, and probably after about 2 or 3 years, I was ready to be done. So I just kind of like maneuvered in ways that I felt like would help me
Okay.
graduate sooner, but like I wasn't really as focused on what I needed to do. So but on the side, I started doing art, even though like I was in school and I was working, doing like random odd jobs and stuff like that. But I started doing art, and it was like it really opened me up to like what I really wanted to do, which was like be a full-time artist. Because even though I did like creative stuff when I was younger,
Hmm.
I didn't consider myself an artist.
Okay.
And so Yeah, so once I started just kind of like creating and just like accepting that title as artist, I was like, okay, this is what I think I need to do. So I graduated, I got my degree in sociology, which is like I changed my major and everything, and still ended up like just doing art. And like I said, once I opened myself up to that world, I got sucked in and just fell in love and just continued to, stay on the art path.
That's awesome. So, did you start with drawing? Did you start with painting? Did you like what? How did you acclimate yourself to the art world? Like, what was the art that you started doing?
Well, I guess I could always draw, when I was younger and everything. So I think the thing that really got me started was painting. I started with really simple paintings. It was like the shape of a head and the afro, and then the afro was like glitter and there was no face. It was just like really simple stuff. And there were a lot of people that would just support me, and it was like, hey, I'll pay for that. I'll give you $10, I'll give you $20 here. So that's one thing that kind of propelled me into like, okay, I think I can do this. I can learn a little bit more about what I need to do and the skills that I can learn to like advance myself a little bit more than just like a blank face. And so yeah, it was definitely painting, picking up a paintbrush, buying some paint, and just like putting it on the canvas.
So, you are self-taught?
I am, yeah, just kind of learning through experience, through YouTube, and just I guess the natural talent that I guess I always had.
I love it. And so,
Yeah.
what is your idea of success now?
So I guess my idea of success would be more so, um, okay, so before I felt like success was something that was like somebody had to give it to me. I had to
Hmm.
like ask for permission. So, but now it's more so something that I feel like I can create for myself,
Hmm.
and it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody else's definition of what an artist should be doing. So, okay, currently success for me looks like I can pay my bills doing art.
Amen.
But I definitely want to go further. I want to have a bigger platform. I want to be able to, like show others that there's so many different like facets of art in the way that it can like help us through therapy or just
Mhm.
like just doing it yourself and just learning about yourself and all the life lessons that I've learned just through one painting or through art in itself. So I think that being able to help people and one thing art did for me was I was always a pretty like reserved and inhibited person. That's the word I kind of use because I always just had so many like inhibitions, and so just accepting that title as artist and just like kind of going through the motions of that helped me to be a little bit more free with who I feel like I truly am. And so I feel like if I can do that with my art for other people, then that's definitely success for me for sure.
That's beautiful. Like try not to cry. No.
Oh no.
No, that was really touching. Um, yes. So,
Mhm.
um, what is something that you've learned, and I think you might have touched on it a little bit, but
Mhm.
what is something that you've learned or that you're in the process of learning that you wish you had known earlier on in your career?
Um, I'm I'm kind of like looking at a painting. That's why I'm looking off. I'm sorry. It's just kind of helping me. So something that I guess I've learned is that it's basically with the whole success thing is that I don't need somebody else's permission.
Mm-hmm.
Is that I can create it for myself. And another thing is to be a little bit more fearless and shameless with my dreams. It was kind of like the whole thing with what Will Smith said about like the other people are not going to be able to see your vision, you
Right.
know. So as long as I'm able to see it and go for it and be shameless about it and be in people's faces like, hey, look at this artwork, then that's something that I'm still learning, and I'm still learning to be a little bit more like out there with it, to push my art a little bit more. So yeah, that.
I love it. And what is a tip or a motivator that you've used to help you, like when you've been down, or like what's something that you've used to draw inspiration from?
um Okay, can I show you some of my work
Yes.
as an example? So,
Like,
okay,
absolutely.
I'm gonna show you this painting right here that I'm working on, and it's kind of like the whole idea of like, somebody else might not be able to see your vision. So right now, this, you can tell it's a person, she's
Yeah.
smiling, but it still has a long way to go.
Okay. Yep.
And so for me, knowing that there's a process and knowing that I have to continue to,
Mm,
even when I get stuck, like I might be like, okay, I need to fix this eye, but I don't know what to do exactly. But to continue to push through it, and the more that I push through it and the more layers that I add and the more I keep going, it will start to become that, I will be able to see that vision
yeah.
physically.
Yes. Yes.
so,
Yes.
so yeah, like I feel like that was one of the biggest motivators for me is that when I've just kind of pushed myself a little bit further, then it becomes that vision that I
Mm,
have in mind, but like right in front of me type thing.
yes.
So learning that to basically trust the process and keep going pretty much.
Trust the process, and your visions will manifest if you
Yes.
um, keep going. That is a word that I needed to hear today. Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. No, but honestly, that is it's a lesson that I think we all learn. I think it's something that we all know.
hmm
But sometimes during the journey, it's hard to see the big picture because you're so
Yeah.
like
And
in the
being able
grind
to
and trying
apply
to
it.
get
Yeah.
yes.
hmm
So thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing that.
Yes, of course.
Um, I'm already at the last question, but I still want to talk to you. So what else can we discuss? What are you working on currently? And like how do you envision um, how do you envision yourself like making the next steps in your journey to help others?
Excuse me. So you mean what am I working on as far as like the paintings, or what am I working on as far as like my career itself?
Either or both.
Okay. So I got a lot of commissions right now. I'm working on like a lot of Valentine's Day commissions. A couple I
Hmm.
can't show because surprises for
Surprise,
people
of
and stuff
course.
like that. But here is it's one right here that is kind of a personal project. It's a little baby girl right here. I'm just kind of
Beautiful.
working on her little by little, and it's kind of that process what I was just explaining, where she's just kind of becoming, and I'm just kind of being led by whatever I feel like the brush is taking me, wherever I feel like the brush is taking me.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
But yeah, so I have a lot of commissions that I'm working on, and that's been a journey too because I want to be able to just create my own work and not have to rely on other
Mm.
people's like what other people need as far as like the commissions as far as like, oh, I need this painting for my grandma, I need this painting of my baby done, and so like
Right.
that's helpful in a sense where it's honing my skills and it's helping me to like make money, but to be able to create my own artwork as far as like these things behind me right right here, and just to put out in the world what I think would make the world, like a better place, or like I was saying, to help people to be a little bit less inhibited
Hmm.
to be in their true selves. Why did I just get winded all of a sudden? It's probably because I keep getting in this chair, up and down in this chair. But so yeah, so I guess my next step would be to be able to just create what I want to see and to make a living off of that artwork alone, and for commissions to be optional for right now. Um, I got a couple shows coming up in March. I have one on the 20th and
Nice.
I have one on the 28th. They're both in Atlanta. Um, I don't know the exact addresses. I just have to send you the flyers.
Yes, please, and I will definitely share them
Yeah.
in your show notes.
Uh-huh.
Also, what I want to ask you about is your finger painting that you had been doing.
hmm
What inspired that?
Oh, okay. So I like to experiment a lot. I feel like, okay, so I've only been painting for about 3 years. So I'm still kind of learning like my own style and the subject matter that I want to paint. And so I wanted to just kind of see like what can I do, you know, as far as like
Mm-hmm.
I've been using these brushes. I try to use different types of brushes, and so one day I was just kind of like I had some different types of paints in front of me, and they were like I have the expensive paints that I use for like commission portraits, and I got these little cheap paints that I got from Walmart for like 50 cents. So I was like, I want to see if I can just create something beautiful with these cheap paints and just kind of experiment with a little bit. So I found a portrait that I thought was, you know, a nice, that would be nice to paint or whatever. And so I was just like, let me just see
Mm-hmm.
if I can make this look really good. And so I started with the finger painting, and it just was like nice, you know, it was like really nice. And so I was like, this is something, you know. And so I wanted that to be like a different facet of what what I could, you know, what I could show that I could do. But it's definitely been like it's opened me up to a little bit more of like there's different avenues of how I
Mm.
can create and what I can create. So yeah, I definitely like the finger paintings. And they're a lot quicker than the portraits, the regular portraits too, because I don't have to be so precise and like critical of, you know, what I'm making.
Yes. And they are amazing. I love all your work.
Thank you.
Everything. And I'm so amazed each time you do something because I just think I know personally that I won't say I can never, but it would take me a
You
long
could.
time.
Yeah.
It would take me a long time. And I love when you post things on your story, like the progression.
Hmm.
And I'm so inspired each time.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
Someone in the comments said, I can't even draw a circle. Nat, I'm trying to tell you, her work is phenomenal. And so
Thank
I
you.
have a thing where I always say, like, let me find my shoe. I just want to throw my shoe at her. And I don't condone any violence. But when
I
I
got
tell
the
you,
shoes.
when I tell you, it's your work is so inspiring and so beautiful, and to be self-taught and to air quotes only be doing it for 3 years, I am a fan,
Thank you.
um, and I look forward to supporting you. I look forward to supporting you along your journey, and yes, I'm just
Thank you
so,
so
so
much.
inspired. You're welcome. And so, my love, we're at the last question, unless you have anything else that you want to share.
I think I
You
covered.
good? Okay.
Yeah,
So,
that's
the
what
last
I said.
question is I consider myself to be the amateur expert. I call myself the amateur expert and consider myself to know a little bit about a lot.
Hmm.
So, if you could please share with me a random tidbit of information, a fun fact, or,
Yeah.
something that could help me answer $100 or $200 question on Jeopardy.
Yes. First of all, I love Jeopardy. That's my favorite game show. I like to try to compete with people so I can feel smart a little bit.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna give you an art one.
Okay.
So the arts was actually a part of the Olympics when they first started.
Hmm.
So they gave medals to anybody that was creating any form of art associated with sports, whether it was like painting, sculpting, literature, architecture, and I think it was one more, music. And so yeah, it was like they gave medals to artists
That is
in the
dope.
Olympics. Yeah.
That is dope. Thank you for that.
No, no problem. I wish they'll, bring it back so I can call
You know what?
myself
They
an
might.
Olympic medalist.
They might do that. And so last thing is, can you share your social media handles? Where can people find you? I know you're not looking to do a whole bunch of commissions, but in the
I'm
event,
definitely open to commissions though, so yeah.
let people know how they can find you, find your work. Website is still in the process of becoming
Hmm.
a thing, a
Yeah.
real thing.
Speaking of becoming, so my Instagram is becoming underscore Jilly, and that goes kind of back to when I was saying about art kind of opening me up to like being more of myself.
Hmm.
So I know that sounds kind of weird, but so yeah,
No,
my
it's
Instagram is becoming Jilly. You can find me on Facebook at Jillian Williams. I got Twitter and stuff, but I'm not on it enough to. I don't even know. It might be becoming Jilly too, but Instagram is the best way to contact me. It's the best way to find me. It's the best way to reach me. It's the best way to put your orders in. So yeah, Instagram becoming underscore Jilly.
perfect. And they can see all your lovely work. And you sell prints?
Yeah, I do prints, canvas prints, poster prints. I want to get into, putting my artwork on like tapestries and phone cases and shower curtains and any avenue that I can, create a stream of income. So yeah.
Absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. Well, I support you, and we're gonna get the word out so that you get some more love. Thank you for being on the show, and thank you
Of
for
course.
sharing your talents with us.
Yay. No problem.
Talk to you soon.
Alrighty. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.